Alan Morgan brushed back his brown hair as he looked at the huge alien ship that had appeared above Earth 3 days ago. The ship looked strange, part living, part machine, with odd bumps and a surface that changed colors in the sunlight. "Tell me what's happening," he asked, eyes fixed on the main screen of the U.S. Defender. Jack Peters tapped at his control panel. "They still haven't answered our messages, Captain. They're just waiting up there. Their weapons are powered on but not aiming at anything," added Security Officer Lisa Reed. "I don't like this waiting game." Everyone on the bridge went quiet when the alien ship suddenly moved, positioning itself directly above North America. A bright light beam shot down toward Earth's surface. "They just sent something down to Earth," shouted Jack. "It landed in a small town in Montana. Getting the exact location now." Alan's communication device made a sound. "Captain Morgan, this is command. We need you on the ground immediately. First contact procedures are now active." The military base outside of Pinewood, Montana was busy with activity. Captain Morgan joined General Samantha Dixon and diplomat Eric Wells in the control room. "What do we know so far?" Alan asked. 3 aliens teleported down and demanded to speak with Earth's leaders, explained Eric. "They call themselves the Krozak. They say they're a warrior species that has been watching us for many years." On the screen, 3 tall, lizard-like beings stood in the meeting room. Their scales were shiny blue and gold, and their long heads had 6 yellow eyes each. They wore armor that seemed to be alive, pulsing like it was breathing. "Play their message again," ordered General Dixon. The largest Krozak stepped forward in the recording. "Humans of Earth, we have studied you and decided you don't deserve the resources you have. Your planet is in a valuable location, and your technology is too simple to justify your independence." It paused, mouth parts clicking. "However, we offer you one chance. Our scans found unusual living creatures you keep as companions. Send your most dangerous beast to fight our champion. If your beast wins, we will leave your planet alone. If not, you will be ruled by the Krozak. You have 12 Earth hours to decide." Eric sighed. "They think we're primitive warriors who use animals as weapons. They want to see our war beasts fight. What could they possibly have detected?" Ellen wondered out loud. "Tigers? Lions? Bears? What exactly are they expecting?" General Dixon walked back and forth across the room. "Actually," said a quiet voice from the corner, "I think I might know." Everyone turned to look at Officer Ryan Foster, who stood awkwardly by the door holding a small carrier. "Foster, why are you here?" Ellen asked. "I was moving equipment when the base locked down," Ryan explained. "But I think I understand what they're seeing in their scans. They're detecting our pets." He opened the carrier door, and a small, fluffy golden retriever puppy poked its head out. "This is Scout, my therapy dog in training. He was with me when the alert came." General Dixon stared. "You think they're detecting dogs?" Scientist Dr. Olivia Jones, who had been studying the alien technology, suddenly stood up straight. "That actually makes sense. Their scanner seems set to detect certain chemicals and brain connections. The bond between humans and dogs would look very special to them. We've actually grown together over thousands of years." Eric's eyes got wide. "And they think these are our weapons." Ellen walked over to the puppy, who wagged his tail happily. "Well, if you think about it, throughout history, dogs have been our partners in war. Guard dogs, attack dogs, search and rescue. You can't be suggesting we send a puppy to fight their champion," General Dixon said in disbelief. Ryan scratched Scout behind the ears. "Actually, I think that's exactly what we should do." The meeting room went silent as Ryan entered with Scout, walking nicely beside him. The 3 Krozak representatives stood tall across the room, their champion between them. A massive creature that looked like a mix between a giant lizard and a gorilla, with sharp claws and many rows of teeth. It stood nearly 8 feet tall and had metal parts along its spine. The lead Krazak, who had introduced himself as Commander Vrekthar, stared in confusion at Scout, who sat wagging his tail. "Human, you don't understand. We demanded your most dangerous beast." Ryan smiled politely. "This is one of Earth's most powerful companions. We call them dogs. This one is still young." The aliens talked among themselves, making clicking and hissing sounds. Scout tilted his head curiously at the noises. "This small creature cannot possibly be a war beast," Vrekthar finally said. "It has no obvious weapons, no poison, no significant size." "Things aren't always what they seem," Ryan replied calmly. "On Earth, these companions have served alongside humans for thousands of years. They hunt, they protect, they form bonds stronger than any technology you have." Alan and General Dixon watched nervously from behind the safety barrier. Eric had carefully coached Ryan on exactly what to say. Vrekthar's extra eyelids blinked rapidly. "You insult the Krazak with this trick." "No trick," Ryan assured him. "In fact, why not let your champion come closer? See for yourself what our companion can do." The alien commander hesitated, then nodded to the massive beast beside him. Groknar approached the humans. "Dog." The huge alien beast called Groknar moved forward, its breath hot and smelling like acid. Scout sat perfectly still, tail still wagging, as the creature towered over him. Ryan stayed calm. "Scout, say hello." The puppy looked up at the monster, gave a soft woof, and then did something that visibly shocked the aliens. He rolled onto his back, showing his belly, paws curled in the air. "What is this behavior?" demanded Vrekthar. "Is it dying?" "No," Ryan explained. "He's showing friendliness. Trust. It's how our companions often greet those they want to be friends with." Groknar sniffed at Scout, clearly confused by the friendly gesture. Then Scout did something even more surprising. He jumped up and playfully pawed at the massive creature's leg, tail wagging furiously. The alien beast backed away, obviously confused. It looked to its masters for instructions. Ryan stepped forward. "Commander Vrekthar, what you're seeing is something your scans found but couldn't understand. Dogs and humans formed a bond thousands of years ago. We didn't conquer them. We didn't enslave them. We formed a partnership that grew over time." Alan watched in amazement as Scout danced around the confused alien creature, sometimes stopping to bow playfully or bark cheerfully. "The bond between humans and dogs is based on caring, loyalty, and love. Things your scans might have seen as weapon systems or fighting abilities," Ryan continued. Vrekthar's 6 eyes blinked one after another. "This cannot be. No species forms willing bonds with others unless to gain advantage in battle." Ryan knelt beside Scout, who immediately ran over for ear scratches. "That's where you're wrong. On Earth, working together and friendship are often more powerful than control." The situation continued as Groknar remained confused by Scout's friendly actions. The puppy showed no fear, only curiosity and playfulness. Eventually, Scout flopped down right in front of the alien beast and rolled onto his side, showing his vulnerable belly again. After several tense moments, Groknar carefully reached out one massive clawed hand, not to attack, but to awkwardly pat the puppy's exposed belly. Everyone watching gasped. "Impossible," hissed one of the Krazak advisors. "Groknar is bred for fighting and conquest." Yet there it was. The fearsome alien creature was now sitting down, allowing Scout to climb onto its massive leg. The puppy licked the alien's scaly arm, causing Groknar to make a sound that might have been the alien version of a laugh. Commander Vrekthar stepped forward. "Explain this magic, human." Ryan smiled. "No magic, just the most powerful force humans have discovered. Empathy. The ability to connect with others, to form bonds not based on control. Scout isn't trained to fight. He's trained to love. And this love, it defeats even more beasts." Vrekthar seemed truly puzzled. "It doesn't defeat," Alan said, stepping forward. "It transforms. Look at your champion now. Is it beaten? No, but it's no longer interested in fighting, is it? Indeed, Grokenar was now completely relaxed, watching with apparent interest as Scout playfully chased his own tail. In thousands of worlds, Vrekthar said slowly, we have never seen this before. Species either conquer or are conquered. Then perhaps, said Ryan, there's something you can learn from Earth after all. 1 week later, Captain Alan Morgan stood on the observation deck of the U.S. Defender, watching as the last of the Krozak diplomatic shuttles returned to their mothership. I still can't believe it worked, said General Dixon, shaking her head in wonder. Neither can the Krozak, Alan replied with a smile. According to their cultural representative, they've never met a species that formed partnerships based on emotional bonds rather than just survival advantage. Ryan approached, Scout now wearing a special interstellar diplomacy K9 unit vest that the alien visitors had insisted on giving him. The commander asked if we'd be willing to send some dog trainers to their home planet, Ryan reported. Apparently, they have native species that might be able to form similar bonds. From invasion to cultural exchange in under 2 weeks, said Eric. All because of a puppy. On the screen, they could see the Krozak ship getting ready to leave. Before it disappeared into space, a message came through. People of Earth, we withdraw our challenge and recognize your right to your planet. The power to turn enemies into friends without force is truly the mark of an advanced civilization. We look forward to learning more about this companionship idea. Until we meet again, may your unusual beasts bring you strength. As the alien vessel vanished in a flash of light, Scout barked happily and wagged his tail, perhaps the only one on Earth who had never doubted how things would turn out. You know, Alan said thoughtfully, scratching Scout's ears, throughout history, humans have always thought that first contact with aliens would be won through our technology, our weapons, or our intelligence. He smiled as Scout licked his hand affectionately. Who would have guessed that humanity's greatest ambassador would have 4 paws and a wagging tail? 6 months later, the Krozak returned to Earth. This time, they came not with threats but with gifts and requests for knowledge. They had established a companion research division and wanted to learn everything humans knew about animal partnerships. It's remarkable, said Vrekthar, now serving as the official Krozak ambassador to Earth. We've already identified 17 species across 12 planets that show potential for forming bonds similar to your dogs. Elen, now promoted to admiral, led the Earth delegation. And how is Grokenar adapting to his new role? Vrekthar's mouthparts formed what humans had come to recognize as a smile. See for yourself. The massive war beast entered the room, but it moved differently now. Instead of stomping aggressively, it walked with careful steps. At its side trotted a small 6-legged creature with fur that glowed slightly blue. This is a Luminoth from our homeworld, explained Vrekthar. For centuries, we hunted them for their bioluminescent organs. Now Grokenar protects this one. They are inseparable. Ryan, who had been appointed as Earth's first interspecies bonding expert, knelt down to greet the alien pet. Scout, now fully grown but still playful, approached carefully. The 2 animals, one from Earth, one from a distant star system, sniffed each other curiously. Then, to everyone's delight, they began to play, chasing each other around the conference room. In all our years of conquest, Vrekthar said quietly, we never discovered what you humans seem to know instinctively, that there is strength in gentleness. General Dixon, watching the scene, nodded. It's still hard to believe that the most important first contact moment in human history came down to a puppy rolling over for a belly rub. Sometimes the simplest gestures are the most profound, Ryan replied. Scout didn't see a monster. He just saw a potential friend. As the Earth and Krozak delegations continued their discussions, Scout and the Luminoth curled up together beneath the conference table, both creatures perfectly content in each other's company. Word of Earth's unique approach to alien relations spread throughout the galaxy. Other species, previously hesitant to contact humans for fear of aggression, began to reach out. It seems we've opened quite a door, Alan remarked as he reviewed reports of 5 new alien civilizations requesting diplomatic relations with Earth. All because we showed them something they'd never seen before, Ryan said, watching Scout doze peacefully. Not our weapons or our technology, but our capacity for friendship, Alan finished with a smile. 3 years after first contact with the Krozak, Earth had become a central hub for what was now called the Galactic Companion Initiative, a special space station named Harmony orbited Earth, where representatives from 27 alien species studied the human-animal bond and worked to develop similar relationships with creatures from their own worlds. Alan, now serving as Earth's ambassador to the Galactic Council, walked through the main observation deck of Harmony with Scout trotting beside him. The golden retriever, now fully mature, had become a symbol recognized across the galaxy. "I never thought I'd see anything like this in my lifetime," Alan said to Ryan, who had joined him for the station's 3rd anniversary celebration. The observation deck overlooked a massive biodome, where humans worked with aliens of all shapes and sizes. Each alien species was paired with Earth animals that matched their physical needs and emotional capabilities. Dogs remained the most popular, but cats, horses, birds, and even sea creatures had found their places in the program. "Look at the Zinthari delegation." Ryan pointed to a group of tall, thin aliens with skin like tree bark. They were carefully grooming a pair of horses. 3 years ago, they were considered one of the most dangerous predator species in the Antares sector. Now they're learning about mutual care. Scout suddenly perked up his ears and barked happily. Grocknar entered the observation deck, now wearing the formal garb of a Krozak cultural ambassador. The once fearsome war beast moved with gentle precision, careful not to frighten anyone with his massive size. "Admiral Morgan, Specialist Foster," Grocknar greeted them in the rumbling voice translator he now wore. "My apologies for being late. The juvenile Tellurian wolves required extra attention today." That was another surprise. After months of working with Earth scientists, the Krozak had developed technology that allowed their war beasts to speak. It turned out that Grocknar and his kind were far more intelligent than even the Krozak had realized. They had simply never been given the chance to be anything other than weapons. "No problem at all," Alan assured him. "How are the wolves adapting?" "Wonderfully," Grocknar replied, his massive face forming what they now recognized as a smile. "They remind me of myself when I first met Scout. Confused by kindness, but hungry for it." Vrekthar joined them, accompanied by his Lumineth companion, which now wore a special harness identifying it as an emotional support animal. "The council meeting will begin shortly. We have important news." They moved to the conference room, where representatives from all member species gathered. General Dixon, now the head of Earth's Interspecies Defense Alliance, was already there, reviewing data on her tablet. "The scan results are confirmed," Vrekthar announced once everyone was seated. "The Hive Collective has changed course. They are no longer heading toward the Orion Arm." This was significant news. The Hive Collective was a mysterious group of connected insect-like beings that had been moving through the galaxy for centuries, consuming all resources in their path. They had been on a trajectory toward Earth's sector of space for the past decade. "Our emissaries reached them 3 months ago," continued Vrekthar. "We showed them our companion program. We demonstrated how cooperation between different species creates strength through diversity rather than through conquest." "And they just changed their minds?" asked General Dixon, skeptical as always. "Not exactly," said Grocknar. "They were intrigued. They have lived as a single connected mind for so long, they had forgotten what it means to form bonds with different species. Our emissaries gifted them with 10 pairs of Earth rabbits." Ryan couldn't help but laugh. "So now the most feared force in the galaxy is fascinated by bunnies." "It is more complex than that," Vrekthar explained. "But essentially, yes. They are now studying the concept of companionship rather than consumption." Alan shook his head in amazement. "Just when I think I've seen it all, the galaxy surprises me again." Scout suddenly tensed, his ears perking up. He turned toward the door, tail wagging cautiously. The door slid open to reveal a completely new alien form. Tall, wispy creatures that seemed almost transparent, with swirling colors moving beneath their skin-like outer layer. They floated rather than walked, and emitted a soft humming sound. "The ethereals," whispered Vrekthar, standing respectfully. "They have finally come." Everyone in the room fell silent. The ethereals were one of the oldest known species in the galaxy, but they had always refused direct contact with other civilizations, preferring to observe from afar. Their technology was said to be thousands of years beyond even the most advanced council races. The lead ethereal moved toward Scout, who remained calm but alert. A melodic voice filled everyone's minds rather than being heard through ears. "We have watched your companion initiative with great interest," the voice said. "For eons, we have searched the stars for others who understood the true path to advancement." Alan stepped forward. "We welcome you to Harmony Station. I am Admiral Alan Morgan of Earth." The ethereal's colors swirled faster. "We know who you are, Admiral. Just as we know this one." It indicated Scout, who changed the course of galactic history with a simple act of trust. Scout wagged his tail, apparently understanding he was being discussed. "We have come to share something with you," the ethereal continued. "Long ago, our kind also discovered the power of companionship, but with beings very different from ourselves. We called them the Dreamweavers." With a gentle gesture, the ethereal produced a small container. Inside was what looked like a ball of shimmering mist. "This is a Dreamweaver embryo. They bond with the host mind, creating a symbiotic relationship that enhances both beings. For millennia, we believed we were the only species evolved enough to maintain such a bond." Ryan looked fascinated. "And now you think humans might be compatible as well?" "Not just humans," the ethereal replied. "Our scans indicate that the emotional capacity developed through your companion animals has created new neural pathways in several council species. The Krozak, particularly, have shown remarkable adaptation." Vrekthar's scales rippled with what humans had come to recognize as surprise. "Us. But we were conquerors for thousands of years. And in just 3 of your Earth years, you have remade yourselves," the ethereal said. "This demonstrates a capacity for growth that we find promising." Grokenar moved forward cautiously. What would such a bond entail? "The Dreamweaver offers enhanced perception, emotional regulation, and connection to the natural forces of the universe. In return, it receives protection and purpose. It is not control. It is partnership, much like your relationship with companion animals, but at a deeper level." Alan looked at Scout, who had served as Earth's first ambassador to the stars without ever knowing it. All of this because a puppy wasn't afraid of a monster. The ethereal's colors formed what might have been a smile. "Small beginnings often lead to the greatest changes, Admiral Morgan. Your species understood something that most take millennia to learn, that true strength comes not from domination, but from connection." As the ethereal presented the Dreamweaver embryo to the council for further study, Scout walked over to Grokenar and leaned against the massive creature's leg. The former war beast gently placed one huge claw on the dog's back. "I still remember our first meeting," Grokenar said quietly. "I had never experienced anything approaching kindness before that moment." Ryan smiled. Scout didn't see a monster. He just saw someone who needed a friend. General Dixon, watching the scene, nodded thoughtfully. "Maybe that's humanity's real gift to the galaxy. Not our technology or our military strategy, but our capacity to see beyond fear," Alan finished. "To offer friendship first, even when facing the unknown." 5 years after the arrival of the ethereals, humanity celebrated what had become known across the galaxy as Companion Day, the anniversary of Scout's first meeting with Grokenar. The holiday was now observed on over 300 worlds. Alan stood on the newly completed platform of Earth's first interstellar spaceport, watching as ships from dozens of civilizations arrived for the celebration. Beside him, Scout, now in his golden years but still bright-eyed and alert, sat contentedly watching the colorful display. "Hard to believe it all started with you, old friend," Alan said, scratching the dog behind his ears. Ryan joined them, accompanied by his newest companion, a young border collie named Luna. The ethereal delegation just arrived. They'd brought something they say is especially for Scout. They made their way to the main ceremony area, where representatives from all council species had gathered. At the center stood a monument, a simple statue of a small dog meeting the large alien beast, their postures showing the moment Scout had first rolled over to show Groknar his belly. Vrekthar, now the High Commander of the Krozak Peaceful Exploration Fleet, approached with Groknar. The once feared war beast moved slowly now, showing signs of age just as Scout did. "My old friend," Groknar rumbled, lowering himself carefully to Scout's level. The dog wagged his tail and pressed his nose against Groknar's face in greeting. The lead ethereal floated forward, colors swirling gently within its transparent form. The Dreamweaver partnership had spread throughout the council races, creating a deeper understanding between all species. "We have brought a gift," the ethereal announced, "something we have developed in partnership with scientists from 17 worlds." A small floating container appeared, hovering between them. "Scout is reaching the natural end of his life cycle," the ethereal said gently. "As is Groknar. This troubles many of us who understand their importance." Alan felt a lump in his throat. He had been trying not to think about Scout's advancing age. "We cannot extend their lives indefinitely," the ethereal continued, "as that would violate the natural order. But we can ensure their legacy continues." The container opened, revealing 2 small crystals, one golden like Scout's fur, one blue-green like Groknar's scales. These contained the complete neural patterns of Scout and Groknar, not copies of their minds, but rather the unique emotional signatures that made them who they are. Their essence. Ryan looked amazed. "What will you do with them?" "With your permission, these will be placed at the heart of the new Harmony Academy. All young beings who come to learn about interspecies cooperation will feel the echo of the bond that started it all." Alan looked at Scout, who seemed to understand the importance of the moment. The old dog looked up at him with trusting eyes. "I think he would approve," Alan said softly. As the ceremony continued, leaders from across the galaxy spoke about how the simple act of trust between a puppy and a war beast had changed the course of history. The Hive Collective, now peaceful trading partners, described how companion animals had helped them rediscover individual identity. The once warlike Zintheri explained how horses had taught them the value of mutual care. Later, Alan stood alone with Scout on a quiet observation deck, watching the stars. General Dixon joined them, now retired but still respected throughout the council. "You know what amazes me most," she said. "It's not the technology we've gained or the alliances we formed. It's how a simple truth changed everything." "What truth is that?" Alan asked. "That friendship is stronger than fear," she replied, watching as Scout dozed peacefully at their feet. "That seeing the best in others, even when they appear monstrous, can transform worlds." As night fell on Earth, celebrations continued across the galaxy, and on countless worlds, beings of all kinds looked to the stars with their companions at their sides, no longer afraid of what might be waiting in the darkness. For Scout had taught them all the most important lesson, that the universe was not a place to fear, but a place to explore, together. 10 years after first contact, Scout passed away peacefully in his sleep, with Alan by his side. The news spread across the galaxy faster than any diplomatic message ever had. Worlds that had once been enemies of Earth lowered their flags. The Krozak declared 7 days of solemn reflection. Even the Hive Collective dimmed their central neural hub in respect. Groknar, who had formed a bond with Scout that transcended species, sat silently by the memorial garden where Scout would be buried. His massive form seemed smaller somehow, hunched with grief. "I never understood sadness before I met him," The former war beast said to Alan. Our kind was bred to feel only aggression and triumph. Now I understand that grief is the price of love. The funeral was simple but attended by representatives from over 50 worlds. Each alien species brought a ritual or offering from their culture. The ethereals created a cloud of luminescent particles that formed Scout's image in the air above his grave. The Krazak presented a living armor chestplate, once their greatest military honor, now reimagined as a memorial marker. Ran, now the head of the Interspecies Companion Training Academy, brought Scout's favorite ball and placed it gently on the freshly turned earth. He never lost his playfulness, Ryan said softly, even in his final days. After the ceremony, Alan found himself alone at the grave with Grokenar. The huge alien had not moved for hours. He changed everything for me, Grokenar said. Before Scout, I knew only battle and blood. I was a weapon, nothing more. Alan nodded. He had that effect on everyone. Just a dog doing what dogs do, offering friendship without judgment. My time will come soon as well, Grokenar rumbled. My species was not designed for long life. We burn brightly and then fade. What would you like to happen when that time comes? Alan asked gently. Grokenar looked up at the stars. I would like to rest here, beside him. We began this journey together. It seems right that we should continue it together. 3 months later, Grokenar joined Scout. The galaxy mourned again, but there was something beautiful in the shared grief. Species that once would have destroyed each other now stood side by side, united in respect for a bond that had transformed them all. At the combined memorial, Brekthar unveiled a new initiative. In honor of Scout and Grokenar, the Council has established the Unlikely Friends program. We will identify conflict zones throughout the galaxy and introduce companion animals as peace ambassadors. The first mission was already underway. A team of humans, Krazak, and ethereals had traveled to the war-torn Cygnus system with 20 golden retriever puppies and a variety of other Earth animals. Early reports showed that the centuries-old conflict between the system's 3 dominant species was beginning to thaw as they competed not for territory, but for the chance to care for the animals. 1 year after Scout's passing, Alan returned to the memorial garden alone. He found a young woman sitting quietly by the grave, a small puppy playing at her feet. I'm sorry, she said, starting to rise. I didn't mean to intrude. No intrusion at all, Alan assured her. May I ask why you're here? She smiled shyly. My name is Maria. This is Comet. She indicated the puppy, who had the same golden fur and friendly eyes as Scout. He's a direct descendant of Scout. 5th generation. I just completed my training as a companion ambassador. We ship out tomorrow for the Andromeda sector. Alan smiled, watching as the puppy rolled happily in the grass. Scout would be pleased. Do you think what they say is true? Maria asked. That one small act of kindness really changed the course of galactic history. Alan looked up at the stars, where thousands of ships now traveled peacefully between worlds that once would have destroyed each other on sight. I know it is, he said simply. Sometimes the greatest power in the universe isn't technology or weapons or even intelligence. Sometimes it's just a warm heart and a wagging tail.